Obviously more athletic and taller than I was.
And I had to get his work ethic. Because I
The stories of Kobe Bryant told by the legends who faced him, befriended him, or were broken down by him on the court don't just read like anecdotes of a career. They feel like chapters in an epic tale. Each account carries the weight of a man whose presence was larger than basketball, someone whose very name became synonymous with relentlessness, obsession, and a kind of competitive spirit that was as awe-inspiring as it was terrifying. From his earliest years in the league to the twilight of his career, Kobe wasn't just a player in the NBA, he was the immovable object, the unstoppable force, and the standard by which greatness was measured. And through the voices of those who stood across from him or by his side, his legend only deepens. Allen Iverson tells one of the most vivid memories. It was 2008, and the Denver Nuggets were chirping at Kobe mid-game. Kenyon Martin taunted him, reminding him that he laced his sneakers the same way, wore a jersey the same way, and shouldn't be feared. Kobe stayed quiet for a while, letting the words linger in the air. And then, like a storm finally unleashed, he erupted. Dunks, mid-range daggers, threes from the arc, 49 points in total, and a complete dismantling of Denver. Iverson, watching it unfold, could only shake his head and whisper to himself that the tree had been shaken and the mamba had fallen out. That was Kobe, silent until he decided the game belonged to him. Baron Davis recalls something less about the scoreboard and more about the
I don't think they know the story about when we first came out here ourselves. The first place we went.
rawness of Kobe's competitive nature. It was the lockout year, 2011, and Davis was coming off knee surgery, barely able to scrimmage. At UCLA, Kobe showed up at a night practice. What started as casual rebounding for him turned into a one-on-one war. Davis, gimpy but proud, went at Kobe until the entire gym stopped just to watch. To Baron, it wasn't just the duel. It was the bond forged in that battle. Even injured, he refused to let Kobe dominate without resistance. But Kobe, as always, was Kobe, backing him down, carving him apart until respect became the unspoken language between them. For Sasha Vujacic, Kobe wasn't just a teammate. He was a relentless mentor. The bond was instant, even breaking the ice in Italian during Sasha's rookie days. But it didn't take long before Sasha learned what everyone eventually learned. You either kept up with Kobe or you were left behind. Kobe demanded everything, every ounce of fight, every sliver of focus. And while many resented him for that, Sasha saw it differently. He saw the big brother who calmed him down.
Yeah. You up for that?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, let's go.
I actually get smart questions for once.
During moments of doubt, who made him believe that his effort mattered. To him, Kobe wasn't only about obsession, he was about responsibility. He carried his teammates forward, whether they liked it or not. John Sally paints Kobe in another light, intensity mixed with a touch of mystery. Back when Kobe was still rising, before he was larger than life, Sally remembers dinners at TGI, Fridays, watching film together and moments that felt almost ordinary. But the truth was, nothing about Kobe was ordinary. He lived with an urgency that made him different. "I do everything young," Kobe once told him. Drafted young, married young, retired young. He always saw life as a sprint, one where you couldn't afford to wait. To Sally, Kobe was scary good, not just because of his skill, but because he was
And they shook the tree and the mamba fell out. And I was like,
relentless in believing he could stand shoulder to shoulder with Michael Jordan when others doubted him. Even in his teenage years, Kobe had already decided he wasn't chasing greatness. He was greatness. Tracy McGrady adds another layer, remembering their trip to Paris in 1998. The two young stars trained together, working on footwork, counters, the small details that defined their craft. For McGrady, it was just training, an exchange of skills. But for Kobe, it was a competition. Years later, Kobe publicly bragged about beating T-Mac one-on-one, throwing out scores that kept changing. Depending on the year, McGrady laughed, pointing out they hadn't even kept score. But that was Kobe. In his mind, every drill,
Kumbaya shit, we got a game to play.
Well, my favorite Kobe Bryant story is
every rep, every possession counted. If McGrady thought they were training, Kobe thought they were waging war. Even veterans weren't spared. Michael Cooper, a Defensive Player of the Year, was brought in by Jerry West to push Kobe during a pre-draft workout. Cooper was supposed to test the 17-year-old, deny him shots, rough him up, make things difficult. Instead, he found himself drenched in sweat, unable to slow the kid down. Kobe's strength, his footwork, his refusal to be pushed out of position, it was unlike anything Cooper had seen from a teenager. By the end of the session, Jerry West had made his decision. "He's our guy," he told Cooper. And
they shook the tree and the mamba fell out. And I was
from that moment, Kobe Bryant wasn't just a high school prospect. He was the future of the Lakers. Lou Williams' story captures Kobe's blunt edge, the way he cut through noise with a single sentence. In the aftermath of the infamous D'Angelo Russell-Nick Young locker room feud, the team had gathered for a meeting to clear the air. Apologies were being exchanged, walls were coming down, and for a moment it seemed like healing was possible. And then Kobe walked in. He didn't care for reconciliation or speeches. Cut all this kumbaya expletive. We got a game to play. That was Kobe, laser-focused, uninterested in distractions, reminding everyone that the only thing that mattered was the game. Paul Pierce remembers his first encounter with Kobe at a Magic Johnson event. Kobe was fresh into the league, barely out of high school, and while everyone else partied, Kobe stood off to the side in sweats, serious, detached, observing. Pierce tried to invite him over, but Kobe simply told him to be careful out here. It was a strange warning, one that spoke to a maturity beyond his years. Even then, Pierce knew. There was something different about him. He wasn't interested. In the noise, the parties, the spotlight. He was already consumed by the mission. Trevor Ariza, who rode shotgun with Kobe to the 2009 championship, saw firsthand what it meant to sacrifice everything for the game. He recalls Kobe gutting out. 44 points on a strained hamstring, playing through
Then I go over there and start rebounding for him, talking to him.
pain that would sideline most players. Ariza contrasted Kobe with LeBron, noting that while LeBron sought balance, relationships, and acceptance, Kobe simply didn't care. You could like him or hate him. It made no difference. His only demand was that you match his standard. And if you couldn't, you were in the way. Then there's the moment that speaks volumes about Kobe's toughness, as told by Lakers trainer Gary Vitti. Mid-game, Kobe dislocated his finger. The pain was so intense that even Vitti struggled to snap it back into place. But the second it was done, Kobe ran back onto the court without hesitation, before tape could even stabilize it. Anyone else would have sat out, grimacing. Kobe barely blinked. His body may have been human, but his mind was made of steel. Tony Allen tells a story that reflects the psychological warfare Kobe brought to the court. While running the triangle offense, Kobe once
Like, man, that was my moment. I had him, and then he started backing me down.
turned his back to Allen and dared him to shoot. That wasn't defense. It was humiliation, a taunt that made you question yourself more than anything else. But despite those mind games, Kobe respected Allen. After years of battles, Kobe told him, "You were the toughest defender I ever faced." For Allen, it was more than words. Kobe even signed a pair of shoes as a parting gift. It was the kind of respect only earned in the fire of competition, a rare acknowledgement from someone who demanded the absolute best from everyone. What emerges from all these stories isn't just the portrait of a basketball legend, but of a man who existed in a constant state of proving, fighting, and demanding more, from himself and from everyone else. Kobe wasn't universally loved. In fact, many couldn't stand him. But they couldn't deny him either. He was the storm that swept through every gym, every practice, every game, and left everyone changed. He made teammates sharper, opponents tougher, and the league itself more ruthless. When players talk about Kobe, they don't just recall moments. They recall battles, scars, tests of will. They remember the intensity in his eyes, the sharpness of his footwork, the relentlessness of his pursuit. They remember the Mamba, who never allowed himself to be ordinary, and who made sure no one around him could settle for it either. And that's why Kobe Bryant lives forever in the game, not just in banners or highlights, but in the stories whispered by those who stood across from him and felt the weight
He knew I was coming to the team, and
of his greatness. So what about you? Which Kobe story sticks with you most? The silent eruption against Denver, the mind games with Tony Allen, or the sheer toughness of popping his finger back into place? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more deep dives into NBA legends, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next story. The legacy of Kobe Bryant is told not just in wins and championships, but in the memories of those who faced him, and those stories will live on forever.